So, good afternoon. We are here on a Thursday, and I am joined with the beautiful Andrea. So, Andrea is a fantastic coach. I've known her for a long time, and I've had the privilege of helping her on a journey with her health and well-being. But she's gone on to bigger and better things. Let's just say that she's moved beyond me. She does it herself. So, we are here to talk about emotional well-being, how self-love is essential, and how toxic relationships can be such a downfall. And of course, Andrea is going to give us her experience and her expertise. So, Andrea, are you good today? Are you good?
I am very good today. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's a pleasure. But as always, Andrea does know we're on for 15 minutes. We've got our cram time. So, guys, if you are joining and listening in, we are on LinkedIn and YouTube. Drop your comments, send us your questions. If we cannot answer because we've only got a small window, then, of course, we will come back afterwards. And, of course, Andrea will also give some professional. So if you haven't followed on YouTube, if there is something that gets picked up here that is specific, she will also continue because that's what she does. She's amazing. She's amazing. But you don't need me to say that. So we're going to dig straight into this, Andrea. So I'm very sorry putting you on the spot there. But we are going to go about recognizing signs of being in a bad emotional state. Okay. What would you say recognizes? So if you're feeling in a bad emotional state, so sort of poor emotional well-being, what sort of signs do you think would pop up or have you experienced?
Well, you're always unhappy and you're looking for solutions outside yourself, and you will never find them because this happens, has to happen within yourself. The other sign is that you're seeking validation by being overly empathetic or overly pleasing the other person. And the more you do it, the more they actually dislike you. The only thing is you don't know.
It's the age-old story then, for the sounds of it. The more you try and give to someone, the more they just try and run. It's that sort of, but then you think, I'll give them a bit more. And the problem is you've got nothing in your tank to give. So it's kind of this cling.
Yeah.
You're giving everything away.
And the other thing is, when I always said, how come that he falls in love the moment I fall out of love with him? And that was the pulling me back into the relationship. Then love bombing me, and then I felt good again. And then there was a time of, yeah, it wasn't there. That was the next stage. And for me, it was neglectance, really. I wasn't, there was no, there was no relationship. There was no relationship as we perceive it to be, that you actually share emotions. What emotions? Mind? I, I didn't know at Asia stage. I didn't know anymore what emotions we would share. It ended up with me screaming every time and telling him that I was feeling unsafe, and he kept saying, "You are so safe with me." That was a threat. I can tell you that one.
But this is what we do when you're in a bad emotional state. You try and give everything because you want validation from somewhere else. So that's where the relationships come in, because, as you said, no emotions there because you haven't really got emotions to give. You just got this sort of need and desire and sort of help, and you're just trying to cling to whatever lifeline you feel there is. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, it's well, I wouldn't recommend anybody going down this route. That's for sure. And that's why I'm trying to get so many people out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's quite overwhelming how many are still in a relationship like that. And it's not only partners, it's work related, it's parents, and those cases with parents, they are the most um, they're the most painful ones for the people because they don't know how to go. For my daughter, it was simple. She just called a friend, and when I became toxic to her because of my drinking,
Uh-huh.
she just called her friend, and the friend got 2 months, and they filled all their stuff in the car, and off she went. Yeah, but
So that
most people, um, Now, most people don't have. They fear leaving the person behind. Yeah.
It's the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown, isn't it? You
Yes.
think it's not going to get any better. This is, you've got something good here.
You don't. You don't have anything good, but you don't know what's beyond the not having good. Huh? That's what's keeping them. The
And this
limiting
is
beliefs that they're not good enough to
yeah,
experience a better side of the world.
the power of transformation.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, quick hello to Sinner. Oh, you guys
Hi,
cheers up.
Sina.
Where's your big mug, Liz? It's a little warm here. I've got a pint of water. All right. I finished my cup of tea for this afternoon. I'm on water. But yes, stay hydrated, guys. If you are joining, make sure you've got your drink to hand. You've got a smile on your face. And you're here to actually give yourself some self-love and maybe reflect on some relationships you have in your life. So, of course, Andrea's hit on a few key things there. Your relationship with friends, relationships with families, and relationship with a significant other. So we say that thing because it could be any sort of
Yes.
partner.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, when it's going wrong, we seek for an answer from outside. But where does the answer come from? Within ourselves. And Michael was just, I think I've just seen that at the right time. Michael's just said it starts with loving yourself. So obviously, Andrea, you are the queen of promoting self-love because obviously having to experience it yourself. And what would you say is sort of the transformational point when it comes down to realizing this is toxic? I need to love myself more. Do you think there's a key point, or is it just like you suddenly one day you wake up and just the rose-tinted glasses have come off, as it were, and you can see how bad something is?
No, the point is that you start choosing yourself. That is the point. The number one point is you see that the life as it is cannot go on like this, and you want to change, and then you start making the commitment. And one of the commitments was following your classes, right? Because yeah, because when your body feels better, you start feeling better within. It's just taking care of yourself. And next to that, I needed to do, yeah, a lot of addressing my past. And that was, I will never say this is easy, but it's so worthwhile, because on the other hand, on the other side, you got rid of the rubbish. You gave it a place, and you accept it as your experience in life, and that you've learned from it, and from there you start thriving. The one thing, when I realized that I had been with a narcissist, I when I was reading about survivors, and I was like, no, 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 I will not stay here. I'm not a survivor. I'm a thriver from it. Yes, and this is how I was growing and growing, day by day, week by week, month by month, until I'm where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the key part takeaway from all that is, guys, it's a journey. Okay, you're not going to get one magic pill. As Andrea said, she went through the journey herself. So she went, I need to love myself. It's not just changing the situation, because I think this is one thing as well, which Andrea, you do promote about. It's sometimes you start doing the transformation of loving yourself, and you can actually fall deeper in love with your partner. So it can actually go the other way. It doesn't necessarily mean the relationship ends, but when you start putting yourself first and shining,
Yeah.
it can actually strengthen bonds and
Yes,
maybe
as
family
well,
ties.
especially when you are in a normal type of a relationship, I would say. I won't recommend anybody to stay in a relationship with a narcissist, because you will never win. You can start working on yourself, and creating love for yourself, but the more you will create the love for yourself, the more you will set boundaries. And I can tell you, if you're not leaving, the narcissist is going to leave, because they don't like that. That's as simple as that. They will go and find their next victim, because they need this person. And you stop needing the narcissist to make you feel better. because it's an interaction between the two, with the narcissist and the overly pleaser, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you don't, when you get the trust within and you feel the love for yourself, then yeah, it's done. It's simply done. And nowadays, I just like, look, I am here without any makeup, and I'm just going like, "Yee, I don't need this, you know." I mean, he was always talking about how good other women were looking, and look at that fantastic figure, and look at her, and this and that. And then the next sentence was always, Andrea, you don't have any self-esteem. And the more he repeated, the less I
Mm-hmm.
had. Yeah, as simple as that. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. And that's the situation control. But we've got 4 minutes. We're going to get on to some useful tips, tricks, and how to manage this journey of self-love. So whether it is the end of the journey where you actually fall deeper in love with a partner or build and strengthen family relationships, or your narcissist goes, what the hell, I can't cope, and gets out of your life and helps you transform. What are some key tips, would you say, for helping somebody love the self, give themselves the love they deserve? What would you give as advice?
The advice I give is that you actually sit down and you look at yourself as you are. Write down your good points, write down your negative points, because we all know them. We all know our bad sides, right? For example, I bullied a teacher with a whole class. That is not something to be proud of, but it happened, right? These things you have to be aware that if you, it's something you could have done, or you could have the potential to do it. Yeah. For example, bullying. And there are more people than we may want to know who bully somebody out of a company because they want the job, for example, right? So just sit down and then start with asking your friends, asking the friends who have not left you, because many will when you leave the narcissist. Um, Ask your friends and your family what they think about you, and that really is an eye opener, and that it is going to point out the moments where you are overly empathetic and overly pleasing, and they will all tell you, I wish he would work more on. And this is the start, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when you go down this, and when you then start looking at your past and step by step, because you can't just jump to the first trauma you ever experienced. And I just want to say, we all have experienced trauma. It's trauma with a big T, or trauma with a small t. Yeah. Meaning it can be abuse, sexual abuse when you were a child, or it can be just being neglected by your mom because she was working too hard, something like that, right? So when you start with that, and then you also start taking care of yourself. Part of loving yourself is taking care of yourself. And that's not only taking care of yourself mentally, it is also your body. And you will see when you start working on yourself, when you start exercising. Remember how I started, I couldn't even use my hands. And now I'm planking on my hands. Yeah. And before
Yes.
it was only possible on my elbows. But you see, when you get this, when you get this trust within yourself, your body is telling you, your body is telling you what's good for you. It's the tummy feeling. Yeah, the tummy feeling gets more bigger and bigger and bigger, because you get to know yourself better. And what helped for me was meditating. I still do it, and I am part of Jay Shetty's community, and I do that every day, and I swap. I sometimes I go to Richard, sometimes I go to Jay, sometimes I just do it outside, sitting outside and enjoying nature. Yeah, and I always do
Beautiful.
it early in the morning to get the balance for the day. I do yoga And I chose to do yoga where you are really busy with your mind and your breathing, and that you are actually um, know what you're doing. And
Mhm.
I find complete balance. I can do this for 15 minutes in the morning, and I'm fine. And I know the
And
people who haven't done it.
I'm going to have to cut you off. We've hit 15 minutes, Andrea.
Oh,
But you can see as Andrea's getting into this, as she's going through her own journey, this is the energy that comes out. So when you begin, like Andrea said, you will start at a point where you don't think it's enough. So just to summarize what Andrea said, I'm making notes. Firstly, reflect on yourself, positives, negatives. There's never anything really bad. If you've done something wrong, it's not a problem. It's just a case of seeing where things you want to improve for a future. Second, ask your friends and family. As Michael has popped in the chat, you'll be surprised what they say about you. They'll say some really good stuff. Ooh, hi. That was Paul just popping up. That was 3, look after your body. So get moving, do some exercise, start eating well, start actually valuing your body, because your vessel, your body, will actually help you feel better. 3, meditate. Take the space away just to connect to you. And 4, 5, I'm on number 5. We've got 5 tips, guys. Connect with nature and find that grounding, whatever it is, going for a walk or just sitting outside. And that's it. I think
love
that just summed it up
yourself.
really well. So, guys, we've run over by nearly 2 minutes. It's been a fabulous afternoon. Thank you, Andrea. Been lovely to
Welcome.
talking to you. And, guys, thank you all for your comments, questions. I will see you next week.